Today, if I ask you a question that what exactly is llama and you do not have an answer for that, this video is for you. Today I am going to tell you that what exactly is llama, why this is important. At the end of this video, you would be able to answer the question what is llama. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to start a new series on this channel and which would be dedicated to llama, and this would be the first video where I am going to just talk about what exactly is this thing, why it is important. And then in the upcoming videos, we are going to deep dive into how do I install it, what are the applications we can utilize, and we are also going to implement some of the llama features in this playlist, right? So if you are someone who is absolute beginner, who have no idea about this video is for you. My name is Mukeshkala. I am a 5 times MVP and a LinkedIn top voice. I have shared my LinkedIn details on the page. Feel free to send a connection request. Happy to be part of your network, right? And with that, let's get started. Now, first thing first, why this session is important. You can also think this of an agenda, right? So with this growth of generative AI, we have seen that there are a lot of large language models which are available over the internet. And most of them are cloud based. When I say cloud based, which means that if I have to utilize them, I cannot install them onto my own infrastructure. I have to utilize them into their cloud, right? It is powerful, it is easy to utilize, easy to get started. However, it has many limitations in terms of cost, internet and privacy. Llama lets you to run the LLM locally, which means that even if today I disconnect my machine from internet, I would be still able to utilize the LLM because it is installed locally on my machine. Take an example. Today, if I using ChatGPT and I disconnect my machine from internet, I would not be able to utilize ChatGPT because that I am connected with the help of cloud service. However, if I have something which is in my local, same like think of a file, a PDF which is available on a local file. I open it, it is able to open. But if the same file is available on the Gmail as an attachment, I would need internet for that, right? Same like this, llama help you to run and install that LLM locally, which means that you can access the LLM without even having the internet. With that installed, I am able to control it. I have my privacy and I can also play around with the performance. It also helps the beginners and the developers to build the real-time AI agents which are running offline, right? So agent is something which is a new technology, agentic concepts, right? In case you guys don't understand what is agentic, you can refer to these videos where I have tried to make you understand the concept of agentic in a very beginner's level, right? So if someone wants to build agents and they want to run it offline, there you need llama, right? So that's why this complete playlist becomes important for us. Okay. What exactly is llama? So the first thing first, you would see that it is a local runtime for the open source LLM. This is an open source LLM and it is a local runtime. When I say local, it means that I would install the LLM onto my local machine, onto my local computer. I do not need a cloud to install this. It is easy to install. You can install it on Windows, Mac, and you can also install it on Linux. Awesome, right? It has built-in API to interact with the models programmatically. Now I have installed llama on my computer. Now I want my other programming, let's say an RP automation, a Python program, a Java code, all of those different programs. Now I want to interact with this llama which I have installed locally. For that, it has also got built-in APIs. Application programming interface, you can just hit the APIs and you can do everything whatever you could do with an LLM. Next point, a lightweight CLI command line interface to download and run the LLMs locally. It also provides you a runtime interface where everything is running locally, so you do not need any complex interface or any complex infrastructure for that. What are the supported models? This is latest from as of 2025 June, right? So it is able to support Llama 3.3, Quen 3, Gamma 3, DeepSeek R1 and Mistral, which means that all of these different models, whichever you see, can be installed with Llama. And that is the definition of Llama, right? So at a very high level, every time, anytime I want to run a model or an LLM offline onto my computer, and I do not want to connect to internet, I do not want my data to be shared outside, I will use something which is called Llama, which is a open source LLM. I hope that clarifies your doubt that what exactly is Llama. Okay. Why do I need Llama, or why would I use Llama in the first place? So I have segregated it into two compartments. The first one is for the beginners, and I believe that since you are watching this video, you are a beginner, so you do not need a API key. So you might have worked with different LLMs. Let's take example of OpenAI or any other LLM or any other service, right? We need OpenAI, we need API keys to connect to those services. Here for beginners, you do not need any API keys. No internet required, because the LLM itself is installed on your computer, and to access the data from there, I do not need an internet. It is quick setup, which you will see in the upcoming videos, that how easy it is to set up it, and it is safe and private. Safe and private simply means that since my data is not available on internet, I am not sharing any of my data to the LLM provider, and it is useful whenever I have some of the confidential data. We'll talk about that in a bit moment, right? What is there for the developers who are actually building application, AI agents, or any of the enterprise application? You have the full control of the LLM, right? Because since it is installed by you, you know everything, you have the full control. You can connect with Python easily. Most of the AI agents are built on Python enterprise. Even if you go for the Autogen, that is also having a Python support, right? So you can also always connect with this LLM using Python. It works with the agentic frameworks which are available there, be it Autogen, be it, let's say, Crew AI, right? All this agentic framework can easily integrate with Llama, and it supports the latest open models as well, which we have seen in the previous videos. So there is something for everyone who is a beginner as well as who is a pro developer of the AI agents, and that's why we are using Llama today. Okay. Now, if I have to compare it with an LLM which is installed on the cloud and an LLM which is installed on the local, how it would differentiate? The first thing is, you would notice that internet is required to access the cloud, and that's a bare minimum. Whereas if I am using Llama, I would need internet only to download it for the first time. Once I have downloaded it and I have set it up, I do not need internet to connect to my model, right? Since I am using the cloud LLM, I require the API key. In the Llama, I do not need a API key. Cost becomes another important factor, right? When you are using any of the cloud based LLMs, we are getting charged for per use, also known as tokens. The more consumption, the more usage of the tokens, and the more you pay. However, for Llama, the token cost is free. But at the same time, since it is installed on your hardware, it is installed on your machine, you are paying, or you are paying, in other words, with the hardware. But in terms of token cost, you are not paying anything for the token or the LLM cost, but you have to maintain the hardware, and that is kind of a cost for you. But if you will see, if it is installed on my laptop, I have already having my laptop, so that cost is minimum for me. Let's talk about the next one, which is the privacy. Data goes to the cloud, right? All of these cloud providers, they have their guardrails, they have their safety protocols, everything is there in place for the security. However, you might be in some industry, or you might have some data which you are not at all confident sharing to the cloud. For example, let's say a banking, right, which is about the transactions, or maybe something related to military. something related to defense, right? Which data, yes, we trust the cloud providers, but I am not at all confident because my data is absolute high level private and I want an LLM use case. I cannot use cloud, right? What exactly is the option? Then I need to have something which is installed on my local infrastructure, which means that I am not at all connected to the internet. It is a disconnected architecture and it is fully local. That's why I use Llama. That's where I use Llama. Okay. Latency. The cloud LLMs or everything which is installed on the cloud is connected via an internet, right? So there might be something with the network, because the network might fluctuate, it might have different latency, so you would have a different response time. Wherever, if this model itself is installed on your machine, everything is local for you, so you will get response immediately. Control, again it is limited because the LLM is installed with the cloud, so you only get some options, whereas here you have full control and the customizations, right? So that is where the differentiation between cloud LLM and Llama, or I would say a local LLM, come in picture. Depending upon the use case, we have options to switch between the models, right? Basically what I mean to say is, let's say you are working as a company who is building agents, right? And now you are rolling out agents. So there are some of the agents for customers who wants to go for cloud. You can use the cloud LLMs. There are some businesses which do not want to expose their data. We use Llama. And inside the agent framework, we can actually go and pick and choose for which use case I want cloud, for which use case I want Llama, right? But at a very high level, as a developer, you need to understand what is the difference and when should we use what. Okay. Okay, so the next question. I understood that yes, what is Llama? Seems like it is a good feature. We need to have it, we need to install it, right? Now the question comes to your mind that what do I need to run Llama and what would be the minimum configuration? Yes, we have no edge on the maximum, but what is the minimum configuration? I would say the recommended configurations to install Llama, and in the upcoming videos we are also going to install it, right? So the operating system is 10 or 11. You can go for Mac or you can also go for Linux. I'm using Windows, so I'll focus on Windows. 8 GB is the minimum RAM. 16 GB is recommended for 7 billion parameters model, right? So when we talk about LLMs, it has something which is called parameters, that how many parameters the LLM is trained. The more parameter it is trained on, you will get a more accurate response. It is like a brain, right? How much information you feed to that model or to the brain. I have a brain which is only having 7 billion parameters, so when I ask a question, it is only going to give me answers from what the information it has. The bigger the brain, the bigger the parameters, the bigger space it will require, right? So that's the concept of parameters. And as of now, if I am using the 7 billion one, I require a 16 GB plus RAM. 32 GB is recommended if I am using something which is like a 13 billion plus parameters, right? So depending on the size of your machine, your requirement, you can choose. However, this is the minimum specification. The disk size again is 10 to 20 GB per model. Okay. GPU is good to have, graphical processing unit, right? We have something which is called CPU, which is the machine is having, right? Then there is something which is called GPU. You will mostly find GPU with the gamers, right? So people who are playing games, I don't need to tell you guys what exactly is GPU, but for the people who don't understand, GPU is something which is related to your graphical processing unit. Mostly whenever I have to have something which is like a high processing machine, we have something which is called GPUs, right? So most of the gaming laptops, you would have GPU. GPUs are good to have. CPUs also works fine, but yes, whenever we are working with this kinds of model, CPU sometimes give you slower response. So that's why for this kind of models, whenever we are running on-prem or locally, we prefer to have GPU, which is like a good to have. But still, if you have CPU, 16 GB, 8 GB RAM, and you follow into this configuration, feel free and you can continue with this and you can still install Llama on your local machine, right? So that is what you need to install Llama. And in the upcoming videos, I'm going to tell you step by step that how do you install it and utilize as well. Okay, so this is what you need to run Llama. Okay, the last slide for today. What can you build with Llama? I understand that yes, Llama is good. I can cater a lot of use cases. I have some use cases in the mind, right? What actually I can build? I can build something which is called local chatbots. I have my company knowledge base, right? So for example, I am a financial firm, right, and I do not want to share my data to any open cloud, assuming OpenAI, right? I can train my models, I can train my llama with my company data, which is like a local repository for my data. And now on top of that local repository, I can build a chatbot. I can have something which is called a personal coding assistant, right, which is a coding assistant which gives me suggestion as per my requirement, as per my training. I can build content generation tools. I can have agentic workflows, right? We have already discussed about that since agentic is the new thing which is coming in the market, you can always utilize llama to build agentic workflows. You can have it to build with text to speech, speech to text, all of that use cases. And you can also do something with task automation with LLM brain, right? So we can do it to use it for doing small automation like text to PDF, PDF to text, split the PDF. All of those smaller tasks can be also done with llama. This list of use cases is extensive. You can go to internet, read more about llama, and let me also know that whatever you find, right? So today video was just to give you insights on what exactly is llama. So next time when somebody asks you what exactly is llama, I hope you have the answer to that question, that what exactly is llama, right? I would like to wrap this video here. I have a quick assignment for you guys. Please go to internet, search for llama, read about it, and if you find something which is not covered in this video, any of the use cases, anything whatever you could find over the internet, let me know in the comments. Happy to share the knowledge with the other people as well, right? So I'll pin your comments if it is meaningful, right? Just share your knowledge so that others also can benefit from it, right? And that's where I will try to wrap this video here. Thank you for watching. In the next video we will try to see how do you install llama, right? And with that, thank you for watching. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Bye.